Joining us now, Texas Republican Congressman Pat Fallon, who is on the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, this attack on the ally, the daughter of Putin's very close ally, Dugin, any idea who is responsible?
You know, John, right now we don't know. It could very well be a Russian internal affair. I mean, these are oligarchs, and there's a lot of competition. It's a lawless state to really begin with. So it could be some internal dispute. We just don't know enough yet.
She apparently was driving his car, or a car that he was expected to be driving. So it seems like he was the likely target, although there aren't any tears in Ukraine over her death either. She publicly suggested that the massacre in Bucha was staged, and she basically suggested that the takeover, the invasion of Ukraine was completely justified.
No, it does seem like her father was definitely the target. She was maybe in the wrong place at the wrong time, driving the wrong vehicle, but she also had a lot of the wrong views as far as to, world affairs and, of course, Russia's role in Ukraine.
I want to talk about Afghanistan. It's been a year since that disastrous withdrawal from that country. Listen to your...
To every veteran out there, myself included, and so many others who are still trying to get Americans and allies out behind Taliban line, is that Biden stood before the nation, stood before the world, and said this was an outstanding success, an extraordinary success. So I just don't know if that's utter dangerous incompetence or malicious misleading of the American people. But either way, I promise you, I'm not going to let this go.
What's your assessment of the aftermath of that Afghanistan withdrawal?
Well, my good friend, Congressman Waltz, got it exactly right. It was an unmitigated disaster. Joe Biden should be ashamed of himself. If the Republicans, and it does seem likely, will get control of the House, we're going to hold hearings, hopefully on oversight, of which I sit on, to find out the truth about why it was so bad. And, John, Biden was stuck on withdrawing on September 11th for symbolic reasons. But the thing is that most Americans don't realize is fighting in Afghanistan is seasonal, and that that government was obviously rather embryonic. So we should have definitely withdrawn if we were going to withdraw in the winter months where there's no fighting, to give that very fragile government a chance to succeed. And instead, we left in the middle of the fighting season. It was absurd, and it was a complete amateur hour.
Senator Tom Cotton, who is a veteran himself, said that the way we pulled out has only emboldened our adversaries around the world. Listen.
Part of what you see in Ukraine is the Afghan effect. Vladimir Putin took Joe Biden's measure last August, and he started building up troops on Ukraine's border. Xi Jinping took the measure of Joe Biden. The Afghan effect there, as you see with the bellicose rhetoric and actions regarding Taiwan, it wasn't just a tragedy. It was a strategic blunder of the first order, and unfortunately it's going to be living with us for a long time.
So in his view, China and Russia are both misbehaving, in part because of what they saw when President Biden orchestrated the Afghanistan withdrawal.
Well, John, Senator Scotton hit the nail right on the head. I talked to President Trump about this personally last week, and I said, Mr. President, I noticed something, that Putin invaded Georgia in 2008, so apparently he wasn't afraid of George W. Bush. And then in 2014, Crimea, he wasn't afraid of Obama. And then a full-scale invasion with Joe Biden at the helm. But for 4 years, when you were president, he didn't do anything. I said, care to comment? And he said, Pat, I told Vladimir Putin he better not invade Ukraine, or there's going to be dire consequences. President Trump projected strength, and Joe Biden is projecting weakness.
So how do we fix that? We've still got, two plus years of a Biden administration.
Well, you know what? We have to demand accountability. We have to demand. I mean, we asked Joe Biden. He didn't use any deterrents before the invasion. Deterrents are far cheaper than actually having to, support an ally that's in war, because the Ukrainian army is doing the best that they can, and they're not tucking and tail and running like the Afghan army did. They're fighting like hell to defend their homeland. And what Biden should have done, and I know that moment has passed, but to tell Putin that there's going to be dire consequences. And what we can do right now is to press the price of oil to bankrupt Putin, so he can't fund this war anymore. That's precisely what President Trump would have done, and what Joe Biden should be doing, and instead he's doing the exact opposite.
Texas Republican Congressman Pat Fallon. Congressman, thank you.
Thanks, John. God bless.